Computer loading sequence.
In the days of film, there was a very concentrated effort on learning the skills, basic training, doing your apprenticeship, learning how different things took place, and basically through an apprenticeship of sorts. With the advent of digital photography, it's put in the hands of most people very clever instruments that can do most of the stuff that would have been done manually in the days of film. For example, the cameras today already come with white balance settings, whereas in the past you'd go to the film shop, you'd buy a specific film that was developed in a lab for specific results. The other thing that also comes with the change from film to digital is speed. And it's the speed at which things are done. Whereas in film, you take your time, you'd think about it, you would maybe spend some time testing. With the digital camera, everything's straight in front of you. So you don't have to worry too much about lighting, you can see exactly what's taking place. And it's a very quick medium in developing an image. So that's one of the key factors. But I think it also the other elements to the change from film to digital, and that is that I think with the art of photography, there's been, it's no more really an art as more as it is a process. And that's an important part because it brings to mind that everybody with the camera in their hands these days that has a digital aspect to it is effectively a photographer. And that in itself presents some pros and it presents some cons. In days gone by, you could see very clearly, especially in the early days of digital, you could see a digital image from a film-based image. But with the development and the technology, the technological developments that have taken place, it's very difficult to tell the difference today. Even at professional level, people are looking at an image and going, well, that's a great image, and struggling to tell the difference between a film-based image and a digitally based image. There are some reasons for that. Again, on an output basis, most prints are done through a digital machine. So, it's no longer a hand print versus a digital machine. You can see definitely a difference between a hand print and what's coming off a machine. But if you took a film-based image and you scanned it in to a computer and you took an image that was taken off a digital camera, effectively you're ending up in the same position as far as processing is concerned. So it makes it very difficult to tell the difference. When you're looking at a hand print, you can see that there's certain things that come to the fore. It's not always as clean as a digital image because you're not using a computer to take out defects. You're basically printing what you can, and the dodge and burning processes that you're doing are taking place in a darkroom. With very limited, compared to digital tools, you have limited processes that you can undertake to produce a good image. So a lot of what you're doing in film-based photography is in the camera. You're taking your time to ensure that you're not including defects into the image that you might not worry about on a digital basis because you can take it out later. So the thought process, I think, is there. The texture of papers that you're using, although there's huge developments on the digital side as far as using fiber-based or cotton-based papers, there's still a texture that goes into a film paper that is different to what you're producing on digital. I haven't shot on film seriously for about 5 years. And once you've done the transition, it is difficult to go back to what you were doing because you get used to things like efficiency, speed, that sort of thing. A lot of visual appreciation is now taking place on a computer screen as opposed to in the form of a print. And a lot of the technological developments are taking place for computer-based viewing as opposed to print-based viewing. Digital cameras now are able to take both still images and you can do HD video on most boxes that are being produced. And in fact, a lot of technology is developing in those areas to make it easy for, let's call it, prosumers versus professional photographers to have in their hands an instrument that is capable of producing something that is acceptable at an international level on a computer screen. When it comes to printing it might be a different story, but a lot of people are just thinking about, well, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to share it. And where do they share it? They share it on things like Flickr, Photo.net, Facebook, any of those visual screen-based programs. The difference is that today, a lot of what is being used is so technologically advanced that literally all you have to do is push a button. So point the camera in the direction that you want to, have some form and semblance and understanding of composition, and push a button. It takes years of practice and understanding and learning to appreciate how a professional photographer takes an image. And let me add into that also a very well-skilled amateur photographer, because there are some amateur photographers that are absolutely mind-blowing. If you look at their work, it's considered, it's precise. It exudes images that are very carefully calculated, and the time is taken to produce the image well. The difference is that a guy who just owns a camera, or a person who just owns a camera, will point it and shoot it and rely to a large extent on that box to deliver the tricks. Whereas a professional photographer or an accomplished amateur will understand the nuances that go into taking a really great photograph. And that to me is the subtle difference. Well, it's not so subtle, it is the difference. That there's knowledge, there's experience, there's an understanding that all takes place, that has been acquired over years of practice. Whether that practice has been paid for or not, it's still practice. And people become comfortable with actually picking up a camera and knowing instinctively how to point it at a subject and what to do in order to best represent that subject. And that covers all the genres, from basically lifestyle photography all the way through to portraiture, landscapes, it doesn't matter. There are some basic principles that need to be observed, and those are only learnt over time. Considered. Yeah, you have to consider what you're doing.